After an arduous night shift, a black janitor with just $50 remaining to repair his vehicle encountered a struggling white mother, unceremoniously ejected from a bakery. Her offense? Lacking the funds for bread and crucial medicine for her ailing daughter. Disregarding the manager's disdainful gaze, he sacrificed his last $50 to assist them. This pivotal decision cost him his employment, his truck, and nearly jeopardized his sister's pursuit of a medical degree. Yet he harbored no regrets, and this unassuming act of generosity was reciprocated in a manner no one could have foreseen. Before we delve into this narrative, please let us know your viewing location. We genuinely appreciate your insights. It was a Monday dawn. The metropolis lay cloaked in a dense blanket of snow, casting a frigid gray pallor over everything. A biting easterly wind howled, ushering in the characteristic chill of mid-January. Sweet Haven Bakery, though illuminated, its warm golden glow only seemed to accentuate the harsh cold outside. Within, the customary lively chatter had subsided, replaced by hurried footsteps and shivers from the penetrating cold. Marcus, a tall and reserved figure, had just concluded his night's work. He had endured 3 consecutive sleepless nights, dedicating himself to overtime to sustain his livelihood. His deep blue uniform, still damp from the residual snow, left muddy imprints on the pristine bakery floor. He entered, striving to remain inconspicuous, desiring only to quickly procure a pastry before returning to his humble abode. His venerable truck, a loyal companion through countless journeys, was emitting strained, heavy coughs. It didn't merely require maintenance, it was on its last breath. Failure to promptly address its issues would result in its complete demise, signifying Marcus's loss of his night cleaning position, his sole source of income. A quiet apprehension seeped into his core. Without this job, he would be unable to provide tuition and living expenses for his sole younger sister, currently in her final year of medical school in a distant metropolis. She represented the family's last glimmer of hope, a solemn vow he had made to his departed parents. He would not betray their trust. He couldn't permit his sister's aspirations to simply vanish. Marcus possessed merely $50 in his pocket. This meager sum was all he had, barely enough for a mechanic's deposit and a small provision of essential groceries to last a few days. He quietly joined the queue, his gaze fixed on his father's antique watch adorning his wrist. The second hand advanced with steady precision, each tick a persistent reminder of fleeting time and the immense obligations burdening his slender frame. What course of action should I take? The query reverberated in his thoughts. He faced an inescapable choice: repair the car to retain his employment or... His eyes betrayed no sorrow, only an unyielding determination and profound concern for his sister's destiny. Standing directly before Marcus was a delicate white woman with a pallid complexion, cradling a small girl. This was Kesha, and the little one was Ava, approximately 5 years old. Ava's large, round eyes gazed longingly at the vibrant pastry display, her tiny finger pressed against the cool glass. The child's yearning was palpable, an innocent yet poignant expression, clearly betraying exhaustion and profound weariness. Kesha whispered something to her daughter, her face etched with fatigue and tension, deep lines around her eyes revealing countless sleepless nights. Kesha not only lacked funds for pastries, she had been evicted from her lodging the previous night due to unpaid rent. Utter dread consumed her. The mother and daughter had spent the night huddled at a desolate bus stop, shivering and famished. Little Ava suffered from a severe cold, coughing incessantly, her face ashen. Kesha possessed not a single cent and knew that without medication and immediate shelter her child's life was in peril. They had not consumed any food all day. What am I to do now? Oh God, my baby, she silently implored, feeling utterly defenseless. When her turn arrived, Kesha presented her payment card to the cashier. The familiar chime sounded, but instead of approval, a persistent red light flickered. The cashier attempted again, then shook her head. Your card was declined, ma'am, she stated reluctantly, yet audibly enough for everyone behind them to overhear. Kesha's heart plummeted, a surge of humiliation and shame rising in her throat. Mitchell, the establishment's manager, a Caucasian man with a meticulously groomed mustache and an immaculate suit, instantly materialized. His mind seethed with irritation and disdain at the sight. He scrutinized Kesha from head to toe, his eyes filled with contempt as if she were a speck of grime on his polished floor. What transpires here? If you are penniless, do not enter and disrupt my business. Your disheveled appearance is deterring patrons. Depart at once. Mitchell's voice was sharp, openly displaying his annoyance, even amplifying it. He derived a perverse satisfaction from witnessing Kesha recoil. He stooped, roughly pulling little Ava's hand, who was clutching the counter. Hey kid, don't contaminate our merchandise. Leave or the authorities will arrive and forcibly remove you. Ava flinched, staring at Mitchell with terrified eyes, her lips tightly compressed, tears welling up. She clung to her mother's hand, trembling, dry coughs escaping with difficulty. Kesha felt her chest constrict, as if an unseen hand was squeezing her heart. Mitchell's gaze, his venomous pronouncements, were like daggers twisting into the wounds of a single mother already intimately acquainted with scorn. Why me? Why is existence so unjust? She yearned to vanish from this place, from the countless eyes fixed upon her and her child. She embraced Ava tightly, her shoulders quivering, striving to conceal the tears that threatened to fall. The entire bakery fell silent, all gazes riveted on this heart-wrenching tableau. The surrounding customers, predominantly elegantly attired, merely observed in silence, none offering a word, some even subtly averting their eyes, feigning ignorance. Their silence was colder than the winter wind outside, a chilling apathy that made Kesha feel utterly isolated, plummeting deeper into the abyss of despair. Marcus felt a constriction in his throat, a surge of indignation swelling in his chest. Unacceptable. How could anyone treat a mother and child with such cruelty? He recalled his father's maxims, a man who consistently championed rectitude, never yielding to injustice regardless of the cost. This inequity, this public degradation was like a blade piercing directly into his heart. He glanced down at his father's aged watch on his wrist, sensing its heft. His eyes swept over the trembling Kesha, then lingered on little Ava's pallid face and dry cough. His mind grappled fiercely. He understood that if he utilized his meager $50 to purchase that pastry and some medicine for the child, he would forfeit the $50 car repair deposit, and the vehicle would undoubtedly succumb permanently. Losing the truck meant losing his night cleaning employment. Losing his job meant no tuition funds for his sister. She would be forced to abandon medical school, and the future of both siblings would be utterly shattered. Furthermore, he would confront hunger in the ensuing days, having expended all his remaining money to aid them. He would face a bleak future devoid of income for an extended period. It was a cruel dilemma, a choice between his own precarious stability and his sister's future, juxtaposed with an act of compassion for a complete stranger, accompanied by profound self-sacrifice. The burden of responsibility and conscience tore at him. What should I do, my sister? But this child requires assistance. I cannot disregard her. But upon witnessing Ava's severe coughing, her eyes simultaneously longing and terrified, Marcus could no longer endure it. His moral compass would not permit him to turn his back. He drew a deep breath, as if internalizing all the helplessness and anguish within him. Without a flicker of hesitation, with resolute eyes and ultimate determination, Marcus strode directly to the counter. He placed precisely $50 on the counter, the sum he knew would determine his future. Mitchell observed the entire act, his eyes ablaze with fury, noting Marcus. This individual dares to humiliate me, Mitchell mused to himself, anger seething within him. Ring up this pastry and some medicine for the child, Marcus stated, his voice calm, devoid of emotion, yet containing a resilient strength, a choice purchased with profound sacrifice. Mitchell turned to face Marcus, his eyes spitting fire. Playing the hero, old chap, or merely seeking attention? I heard you're just a lowly cleaner, correct? Do you even possess sufficient funds? He sneered, his voice laden with challenge. Marcus remained silent, simply looking directly at Mitchell, his gaze resolute and full of indignation, like an unspoken declaration. A fragrant chocolate pastry and a packet of children's cough medicine were placed in a paper bag. Marcus took it, gently offering it to little Ava. The child looked up, her large round eyes, still clouded with fear, now radiating a warm luminescence as if a miracle had just unfolded. Kesha gazed at Marcus, her eyes welling up, boundless gratitude filling her. She attempted to speak, but her throat tightened. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling, hot tears streaming down her cheeks. It wasn't merely a thank you for the pastry, but an expression of profound appreciation for the rare kindness she had received amidst life's contempt. He turned and departed, leaving behind Mitchell's enraged glare and Kesha's emotional, somewhat bewildered eyes. The doorbell chimed as he exited, carrying a melange of indignation, sorrow, and a newfound hope. Meanwhile, Marcus was slowly making his way back to his dwelling. His old truck emitted a few more labored coughs, then abruptly ceased in the middle of the road, refusing to restart. A cold shiver traversed his spine. He stared at it desperately, as if at a dying friend. He knew the vehicle was truly gone. He had just received a cruel telephone call from the company. The manager's frigid voice informed him he was summarily dismissed without investigation due to grave allegations. This blow struck him like a fatal impact, almost causing him to collapse. No way. How could this transpire? His sole source of income had vanished, and his sister's future, his ultimate hope, was now like a flickering candle. His sister would be compelled to withdraw from medical school. His parents' aspiration would dissipate into thin air. He had not merely lost his job, his livelihood. He had also lost faith in justice. Fear enveloped him. He knew not how he would subsist in the coming days with no income. What would he consume, having expended all his last funds to assist Kesha and Ava? As Marcus attempted to propel the car to the roadside, 3 police vehicles with flashing blue and red lights suddenly materialized from both directions, obstructing him on the deserted street. Headlights shone directly into Marcus's face through the windshield, causing him to squint. 3 officers emerged, their expressions grim, flashlights directed at him. "Exit the vehicle. Hands up. We received a report that you were implicated in child abduction," an officer commanded, his voice laden with suspicion, as if Marcus were a dangerous felon. Marcus did not resist. His mind was filled with indignation and helplessness. But he knew resistance was futile. He slowly opened the door, stepped out, and raised his hands. His worker's uniform was still soiled with mud after a long day of labor, and beneath the flashing police lights, it made him appear even more suspicious. They requested his identification, then scrutinized it as if seeking signs of culpability. After searching his empty car and verifying his documents without finding anything, they maintained a cold demeanor, offering no apology before turning and re-entering their vehicles. Marcus looked directly into the eyes of the last officer. His voice was calm and weighty, though his heart was heavy with extreme injustice. "I hope your children never have to experience this sensation." The 3 police officers remained silent, then drove straight away, abandoning Marcus alone on the deserted road with his defunct truck and a completely shattered future. He knelt by the roadside, trembling uncontrollably, the biting cold of the snow seeping into his bones, but even colder was the despair gnawing at his very soul. Is this the culmination? Is there no escape? That night, Marcus trudged back to his modest lodging. The cramped and aged room greeted him with its characteristic musty aroma, now even more desolate. Marcus slumped onto the rickety wooden chair, a heavy sensation pressing on his chest. He gazed at his father's antique watch on his wrist, the second hand still steadily ticking forward. But for him, time seemed to have halted. He had lost his employment, lost hope for his sister, lost his livelihood, lost everything. The phrase, "You are immediately terminated from the company manager," echoed in his head like a malediction. His sole source of income had vanished in a single afternoon. All because he had acted virtuously. A wave of helplessness surged, engulfing him. What do I do now? How can I face my sister? How can I continue? He was the foundation. He had to bear the burden. But now his shoulders were heavy and he knew not how he would cope. He gazed out the window. His old truck was now merely an inert mass of metal, standing silently beneath the falling snow, a symbol of complete collapse. The sensation of being stripped of everything, of being pushed to the precipice, enveloped him, threatening to drag him into the abyss of darkness. He sighed softly, then slowly retrieved his father's old, faded photograph. In the picture, his father smiled gently, but his eyes held an unwavering resolve. Marcus recalled a narrative his father often recounted. He had once been dismissed from his company solely for intervening on behalf of another, protecting a vulnerable colleague. Now he was traversing that very path, the path of integrity, even at an exorbitant cost, a cost he felt he could not bear. What would father do in this predicament? Would father surrender? He placed the photo on his chest, taking a deep breath, striving to find some inner fortitude. His father's legacy was not monetary, but a reminder of enduring values. But could he withstand its weight? Concurrently, Kesha's phone vibrated. It was her father. She was utterly stunned, for it had been an extended period since they had conversed, a cold void, an invisible barrier existing between father and daughter. Mr. Whitman's voice on the other end was both stern and trembling, filled with despair and suppressed affection, a transformation Kesha had not heard in years. He requested an immediate meeting. Kesha hesitated, her heart pounding as if it would burst, 1,000 questions racing through her mind. What does he desire? Is it another reprimand? But finally, a faint glimmer of hope for reconciliation compelled her to agree. When they eventually met, Kesha could not restrain her tears. She said nothing, merely allowed the tears to stream down her cheeks as if releasing years of hurt and burden. She recounted everything: the profound humiliation when Mitchell insulted her, the despair of being unable to purchase a pastry for her sick child, and then the small but potent ray of hope Marcus had provided, and how he had helped them find refuge on a frigid winter night. She also spoke of the chocolate pastry that had warmed little Ava's heart, of the arduous days of raising her child alone, the nights spent sleeping rough at the cold bus station, little Ava's fever, and the time she believed she could not persevere, the tears she had swallowed back so her child would not witness them. Mr. Whitman listened, his face contorted with intense pain and burning remorse. Every word from his daughter was like a sharp knife carving into his heart, making him confront his own cruelty. He could not utter a word. Each of his daughter's narratives was like a blade twisting into his heart. He knelt, embracing Kesha tightly, his tears flowing, soaking her shoulder. "I am truly sorry, Kesha. I was mistaken. I was an abysmal father. I allowed you to endure all of this alone. Please forgive me. Forgive my blindness and my preconceived notions." His voice broke, filled with belated regret. Mr. Whitman's tears of remorse, Kesha's long-suppressed tears of affection, mingled, washing away all misunderstandings, all distances. It was a moment of complete healing, of eternal familial love, igniting the flame of forgiveness and faith in a new beginning. Kesha felt an immense burden lifted, her heart rewarming after so many cold years. Mitchell was immediately dismissed. Mr. Whitman offered little explanation, simply made a decisive judgment, denying Mitchell any opportunity to defend himself. He felt utterly repulsed by Mitchell's cruelty. Subsequently, he inquired about Marcus. He knew Marcus had lost his employment, his vehicle, and that his compassion had come at too steep a price. Mr. Whitman personally sought out Marcus, not only to express his profound gratitude but also to atone for his own missteps and indifference. Mr. Whitman located Marcus at his old lodging. Upon seeing Mr. Whitman, Marcus was somewhat surprised but remained composed. Mr. Whitman looked directly at Marcus, his eyes reflecting regret and sincerity. "Marcus, I have not merely come here to reimburse you, but also to offer my apologies. Apologies for what my bakery and particularly Mitchell inflicted upon you. I have reviewed all the security camera footage. I am aware of your sacrifice. I know you forfeited your employment and your vehicle, all for an act of kindness." He paused, drew a deep breath, then continued, his voice resolute. "I do not wish your generosity to suffer any further. I desire to compensate you, and more significantly, I wish to collaborate with you to establish a place where kindness is esteemed, protected. I wish to offer you the position of manager of my Sweet Haven Bakery. Not a provisional role, but a strategic one with complete authority to oversee all bakery operations. Your remuneration will be triple your former salary, sufficient for you and your family to live comfortably. I will also defray all tuition fees for your sister until she completes medical school, and acquire for you a new truck, far superior to your old one." Mr. Whitman looked at Marcus, his eyes full of hope. "I sincerely hope you will accept, Marcus. You possess the qualities I have perpetually sought. You will assist me in re-establishing a true Sweet Haven. A place where no individual will ever endure what my daughter and Kesha experienced. I place my trust in you, Marcus. You are the sole person I wish to entrust with this faith." The proposition astounded Marcus. A boundless sense of relief and profound gratitude washed over him. Is this a dream? Finally, his sacrifices had been vindicated. He had been at the depths of despair, and then a portal suddenly opened, wider and brighter than anything he had ever imagined. He desperately needed a job, but he had never offered assistance with the expectation of recompense. I helped not to be repaid, Mr. Whitman, Marcus replied, his voice still calm, devoid of any hint of avarice or calculation. He perceived in this offer not merely an opportunity for himself, but also a means to ensure Kesha and Ava enjoyed a better existence, an assurance for his sister's future. It was an opportunity for him to continue disseminating kindness, but on a grander scale with substantial backing. After a moment's contemplation, Marcus accepted the manager position with one stipulation. He looked at Mr. Whitman, his eyes firm. I accept, sir, but I have one request. Kesha will also be granted stable employment at this bakery with a deserving salary, so she can care for Ava without financial worries any longer. Mr. Whitman smiled contentedly, nodding without hesitation. Excellent, Marcus. That is a perfect condition. After being dismissed, Mitchell returned home consumed by extreme anger and bitterness. He perpetually followed the developments of his case. When the story of Marcus and Kesha, along with Marcus's ascension to bakery manager with an exorbitant salary, began to proliferate rapidly on social media, Mitchell became incandescent with rage. Envy and resentment devoured him. That lowly cleaner receives everything? Unacceptable. He glared at Marcus, that humble cleaner he once scorned, now lauded as a hero valued, while he lost everything empty-handed with nothing remaining. His jealousy and animosity reached their zenith, gnawing at his mind incessantly. The online community swiftly fractured into factions. Some extolled Marcus as a hero, a paragon of kindness. But there were also malicious comments accusing Kesha of fabricating poverty and staging a spectacle to garner sympathy, labeling Marcus a like-seeker, an opportunist, a self-promoter. They questioned Marcus becoming manager with such an immense salary, suggesting it was a sordid secret arrangement disguised as benevolence, a setup to conceal something. Amidst the tempest of public opinion, Marcus remained silent. He felt no compulsion to justify his actions. He knew the truth. He did not engage in disputes, did not offer explanations. Finally, he posted only one line on his personal page. A brief but potent declaration, an undeniable pronouncement etched into people's hearts. I do not publicize kindness. I protect a mother, not a test. And conscience is not something that can be commodified. That message rapidly disseminated, becoming a powerful reminder of the genuine worth of kindness and Marcus's unwavering resolve amidst the public maelstrom, silencing those who spoke maliciously. The audience will experience astonishment and profound emotion when Marcus receives his deserved recompense after enduring extreme hardships, but simultaneously clearly discern the new doubts and challenges awaiting him and how he confronts them. Under Marcus's stewardship, with Kesha also employed at the bakery, the atmosphere became significantly warmer and more welcoming. Customers streamed in and out. Laughter echoed, and the fragrant aroma of pastries seemed to warm even the cold winter air. Little Ava often visited the bakery to play. Her clear eyes now consistently sparkled with delight when she saw her mother and Uncle Marcus. The bakery did not merely purvey pastries. It dispensed joy and compassion, becoming a beacon of empathy in the heart of the city. Every workday at Sweet Haven, Marcus felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. This was where he belonged, where he could truly effect change. After his dismissal, Mitchell plunged into extreme despair. He wandered aimlessly, confronting failure and solitude. He depleted his meager savings, struggled to survive on odd jobs, shunned and despised by all. He slept rough in parks on cold nights, enduring the biting cold, gnawing hunger and abandonment. He finally comprehended what it truly meant to be alone, to become invisible. Initially, Mitchell still seethed with resentment. A persistent bitterness gnawed at him. He could not accept that he had failed so miserably. He still clandestinely followed the news about Marcus, about the increasingly prosperous Sweet Haven bakery, about the admiration Marcus garnered. Each time he saw Marcus's image appear in newspapers or on social media, his heart swelled with envy and contempt. That lowly cleaner just stumbled upon an opportunity, he muttered, still convincing himself that Marcus's kindness was merely a cheap performance. Weeks elapsed and Mitchell's savings dwindled. He attempted to secure new employment, but his arrogant demeanor and termination record slammed every door shut. He began to live more precariously, gradually liquidating valuables to survive. Loneliness and despair slowly engulfed him. He felt like a lost vessel at sea without direction. He no longer dared to meet old acquaintances, out of pride and a reluctance to confront the truth that he had lost everything. He began to sleep rough in parks on cold nights, enduring the biting cold, gnawing hunger and abandonment. He finally understood the piercing cold and gnawing emptiness that Kesha and Ava had endured. One afternoon, Mitchell huddled on a park bench, his stomach aching with hunger, bone-chillingly cold. He witnessed a young woman drop her shopping bag, vegetables scattering on the dirty snow. Everyone rushed past, no one paying attention or merely glancing briefly before hurrying on. Mitchell remembered himself, once indifferent and contemptuous of the vulnerable. Now he occupied a similar position, even worse. As he watched the young woman retrieve each dropped item alone, a profound sense of self-loathing arose within him. It was not anger but a burning shame, a realization of his own cruelty, and the void it had generated. He recalled the words he had uttered, the actions he had taken, and the cold indifference he had once exhibited. He realized he was the worst kind of individual. Concurrently, a luxurious automobile screeched to a halt in front of Sweet Haven Bakery. A woman with impeccably styled hair, an opulent fur coat and keen eyes stepped inside. She was not affiliated with a charitable organization. She was a formidable media magnate renowned for transforming ordinary narratives into controversial and dramatic reality television programs, irrespective of ethical considerations. She proceeded directly to the counter, summoned Marcus and spoke softly, her voice brimming with mystery, like a diabolical proposition. "Marcus, I am familiar with your story concerning Kesha and all your sacrifices. Highly impressive. I have an offer. I am prepared to compensate you with a colossal sum, sufficient for you to establish an entire chain of extensive bakeries, ensuring a comfortable existence for you, your family, and Kesha for life without requiring any further effort. If you consent to participate in my show, we will construct a dramatic script. But to boost ratings and attract viewers, we necessitate a touch of drama, a hint of darkness. You will be obliged to recount the story, but in an entirely different manner. Kesha is a fraudster. You were merely an unwitting pawn. And it was all a staged performance for publicity. We will even choreograph a scene where you personally demolish your father's watch on live television as a symbol of your awakening, forsaking archaic values to embrace harsh reality. This is your sole opportunity to become a millionaire." Marcus looked at his father's antique watch on his wrist, feeling its familiar weight. This timepiece was the sole memento remaining of his deceased father, a symbol of the values he perpetually cherished, of unshakable integrity, of kindness forged through adversity. He looked at the woman, then glanced at Kesha laughing with customers and little Ava playing in the corner of the bakery. He also observed Mitchell quietly cleaning the storeroom, his shoulders thin and stooped. There was no hesitation or vacillation in Marcus's heart. He felt a profound contempt for the offer. He smiled faintly, but his eyes were more resolute than ever, a determination tested to its very limit. "Thank you for your interest," Marcus stated, his voice calm and firm, yet conveying an absolute refusal. "But this is not for sale. My honor and my father's legacy are invaluable. I will never betray the truth or compromise the trust of those I protect for any price. Money can never procure peace of mind, and I will never transmute kindness into cheap entertainment." He decisively rejected all overtures without hesitation, without regret. His kindness was not a commodity to be bartered or a narrative to be peddled. It was the essence of his being, the very reason for his existence. Soon thereafter Mitchell returned. He no longer possessed his customary arrogant demeanor. He stood quietly at the end of the line, clad in a worn old coat, his face etched with remorse, his eyes heavy. When his turn arrived, Mitchell looked directly at Marcus, his eyes pleading, a faint glimmer of hope like a drowning man clutching at a lifeline. "Marcus," he said softly, his voice choked. "I desperately need employment. Anything. I was wrong. I behaved abominably. I lost everything and I experienced genuine destitution. I merely wished to act rightly to atone for my errors. Please grant me an opportunity. I know I do not deserve it, but please afford me a chance to become a decent person once more. Marcus looked at Mitchell, his eyes full of understanding and compassion, devoid of any judgment. He had once experienced the despair of losing everything. He knew Mitchell's plight. He did not wish Mitchell to suffer any further. Everyone deserves a second chance to rectify their mistakes, Marcus mused to himself. He turned to Kesha, his eyes seeking her assent. Kesha looked at Mitchell, her eyes still bearing old scars, but now mingled with understanding. She nodded gently. "All right, Mitchell," Marcus stated, his voice softening. "You can commence working in the bakery storage room. It's demanding work, but the remuneration is sufficient for you to manage. We believe in second chances. Demonstrate to everyone that you can change." Mitchell looked up at Marcus, tears in his eyes. Thank you, Marcus. I will not disappoint you." He bowed deeply, his heart filled with gratitude and a new glimmer of hope, a fresh commencement for his life. Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to activate the notification bell to commence your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.